Okay, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Today, Sam is joining me. Sam is my wife. She's a little nervous in front of the camera. She's got the giggle. She's one of those, I giggle when I'm nervous. All right, let's just jump in. I got Sam's phone here. We're going to jump right into the shout-out. Today on the shout-out, my buddy Anthony, he's really my brother from another mother, and I met him when I lived in Ontario, and he moved out to Vancouver Island. But anyways, he did a shout out online, and he gave us permission to share it on the show. And so this is what he had to say. When our new SUV was hit in the Walmart parking lot last week, it really upset us that the person responsible couldn't even leave a note. They just drove off. After looking around trying to figure out how to get it fixed, and remembering I knew someone I know someone who does this kind of work. Big thanks to the guys at Finish Coat for getting the job done. Thank you guys so much, and I recommend them to anyone who may need some work done. Happy client, a solid 10 out of 10, and very affordable too. Check them out at www.finishcoat.ca. Really amazing work, guys. Thank you so much. Definitely the way to go for sure. Thanks for the hookup. Okay, so that's the shout out today to Finish Coat. And there's a couple photos on here that I will add to the YouTube that it looks they did a good job. You know, that's Walmart parking lot is terrible for that. I bought a new truck. Here's your phone. I bought a new truck. I put it way out of the way. I said, here's your phone, but you can't have it. I bought a new truck when I was 19. And the first day I had it, I took it to Walmart, and I came out, and that same thing had happened. Someone had backed out, hit the curb, bent it, and scraped the paint. And I didn't know about Finish Coat then, but I knew about them. I know about them now. And
you should. It's my brother.
Yeah. Sam's brother Lucas works for Finish Coat. He does a great work. You guys all remember Lucas from the Buhurt podcast. So, so Sam is on today. We're going to talk. Me and Sam have an interesting story about how we met, because we met a few in passing because you were friends with my brothers, but we weren't really friends. No. And then we both went through a breakup, and that's kind of how we came together.
I didn't even know you existed for like a year. I thought that it was just the two of them that were related. And then they're like, oh no, there's 8 of us. And it's like, what? but you've only ever talked about each other. You've never talked about anyone else. So it was weird that you walked by and it was like, who's that? Oh, that's my brother. What?
Yeah. You guys were sword fighting down in the gym underneath the courts at the time. Yeah. You guys have been doing that sword fighting for a long time, you and Lucas. And it's evolved. You know, you did that off Hednar, and now
we started with LARPing at Medieval Chaos. So he started, and then I joined after, like maybe a year after. I don't know how long after. And then we started training at his store that he owned at the time, but we won't talk because that's lame. And then we moved to Hednar in Shemaina's / Ladysmith, because we kind of like bounced back and forth. And then when I was pregnant for Freya, when I was pregnant for Freya, we started, or maybe not Freya.
Was it Elias?
Maybe it was Elias.
Second kid?
I can't remember which kid it was, but
must have been Elias.
Yeah, it must have been Elias. We started training for Buhurt, which he talked about in one of your episodes, and then it's just gone from there.
Yeah, it's grown pretty good. Yeah, so I walked by you guys practicing. That was kind of the first. I didn't even meet you then. I kind of seen you, and then I carried on. Yeah, me and Dustin were gym junkies at that time, and then every few days, me and him would go down to whatever pub or restaurant we were on our way to, and just eat out. When you're single, you can afford to eat out every night or whatever. When you're married with kids, you don't get that option, it seems.
You guys walked by the door, and I was at the back of the room just swinging my sword around like a crazy person because I didn't know what I was doing back then.
And then, so jump forward, I don't know how many years, we both get out of relationships. We don't really need to dive into them. We both had bad experiences in our past relationships, and then that's what brought us together. You were in a depression about your breakup, and I was giddy with joy about my breakup. And Lucas, your brother, invited us both over to his place for a little get together
for breakfast for dinner.
And I remember he made these terrible. Were they supposed to be hash browns?
They were hash browns, but because he didn't, I guess you're supposed to like soak them or something beforehand, and he didn't. So like they turned like this nasty shade of like grayish, purpley black.
Yeah, they were like
and
purple.
And he spent the whole time bitching about these potatoes.
And I didn't eat them. You were so cranky. Everybody was eating them. They said that they tasted fine, and I believe them. But like the visual, I was like, these are purple potatoes. And I know they didn't start out purple. It's not like
which you can get purple potatoes, but they were russet potatoes.
Yeah.
And I was like, shut the fuck up and eat them.
I know, you were so cranky. You got so mad. And then we ended up getting we got a little tipsy, me and my brothers, and when we get together we like to challenge each other to wrestling matches, and you got upset that I rolled into the boxwood hedge that you planted.
That was later though. That was a different party yet.
It wasn't the same night?
No. We didn't drink that night. That night we were just having breakfast.
Did I stay there? I remember I stayed around yours and Lucas's place.
No, you didn't stay the night that time, but you invited me the next morning to go to Mystic Beach with you.
Right, so we go to
the
Mystic.
dog, because I was bug sitting for my parents.
Yeah, so you were dog sitting. I remember that was the first time we took him off leash.
Yeah, he'd never been off leash before, and I was nervous. I'm like, what if I lose my parents' dog? And they're like across the country.
I don't know, here's this guy you don't even know. I'm like, just let him go. He's going to be fine. I'm right here. Undo your dog. And I took control of that. You were like, hope he comes back. How you explain that to your mom?
And then I saw you every day after that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
We just hung out.
We just hung out with each other every single day after that.
For
like 2 weeks.
We went tubing one day. Lucas had a little get-together at his place.
Yeah, we had the party the one night. That's when you rolled in the boxwood with Dustin.
Yeah.
And I got mad at you.
You got mad at me.
And then the next day we went tubing.
Yeah.
And I made you come
and
with
I
us
didn't want to go.
because you didn't want to go.
And so you hounded me to go. We went. And then what happened after that? Where were we? Tubing? Then we did like we went and got the snakes together. Yeah. I invited you to Victoria to pick up some snakes. Because I was into the snakes back then. And then you lived
We picked up a 6-foot boa constrictor that I named Monty.
But he was a boa constrictor, not a python.
He lived in a tote.
Yeah, he lived in a tote for a while, and then I got him a cage. And then so it so happened that your apartment, what happened during my breakup, I lost my place to live, so I was bunking down at my parents' place for a little bit. But
For a day.
For a day, because you lived right across the street. And then, so I stayed at your place and Lucas's place for about a week to 2 weeks.
And my parents' place, because I was house sitting for the whole 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. You came over and stayed the night like every night. But we didn't do anything. He slept on the couch. No one believes me. But he slept on the couch.
I'll have to agree that I slept on the couch. Anyways. After that, so you lived across the street, and then I started, when your parents showed up, they sent me home.
Well, it was like 4 in the morning.
And so at 4 in the morning, they gave me the boot to go home. And you lived across the street, so we started hanging out at your place every day.
Well, we hooked up the next night.
Yeah, we hooked up the next night. Hey, so
Pirate Pack night.
So you told me the night before when you hounded me, and I said, I got some feelings for you, and you were like, I'm not ready. And then the next day, she was ready. And then Pirate Pack Day.
Luke had to talk me through it.
Yeah. Your brother did some coaching for you to move on. And
we worked together.
Yeah.
So we spent the day talking about it. And then it was Pirate Pack Day.
Yeah, and we were kind of in the mindset that it was going to be a one-time thing.
Yeah. Luke was like, just do it. If you don't like him, who cares? Everyone does stuff like that. I was like, but I don't do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty deep in look in how we started our relationship. And then so we started dating from there. We ended up moving into Lucas's place because you guys already had that arranged. We were dating. I just kind of tagged along. We divided the rent 3 ways, and then we were there for 3 months. Is that how long we were dating for before we found out we were pregnant?
We found out at the end of October, and we moved in September 1st.
And we started dating. We just passed the 5-year mark, didn't we?
On the 12th.
On the 12th. So the 12th. Yeah. But I forgot. Sam reminded me the other day. She's like,
guess what day it is today? You're like, I don't know.
Taco Tuesday?
And it was like, oh, we've been together for 5 years and you forgot.
Well,
no, I was like, it's Pirate Pack Day.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So Pirate Pack Day. White Spot had like a Pirate Pack Day, whereas all like adults get Pirate Packs and all the proceeds went to some charity for children. And so at the time I was really into a LARPing group, and we made this steampunk pirate group, and so the whole crew went to Pirate Pack Day, and Dirk tagged along because he wanted to get lucky.
Paid off.
And I didn't want to leave. I was so nervous.
She procrastinated.
We hung out there from
we
till like
communicated
11.
about our intentions beforehand, and then so she kind of was procrastinating the night, and I was honestly like, am I going to my own home? Like she really is seeming like she doesn't want this to happen. So, but she, it ended up happening. Here we are today. So 3 months in, you find out that you're pregnant. Is that how it went?
It was the end of October, so it was like 2.5 months dating. And I was getting ready to go to Darkest, which was an event of the LARP group that I went. But I hadn't got my period yet, and you're like, I think you should probably check. And I was like, I don't need to check. I can't get pregnant.
Right, because the doctor told you that you couldn't get pregnant.
And then so finally you convinced me to check, like the day before.
Because Darkest was like a high contact LARP, like heavy hitting combat. So I was like, we should probably check.
All night long, from like 8 o'clock at night till like 8 o'clock the next morning. So it was all night long. And so you're like, you need to check, because what if you are? So I checked, and I was.
So she's never been to Darkest since.
Nope.
Yeah, and so that was nerve-wracking. 3 months into our relationship, we're pregnant. We kind of don't even have our own space. 3 of us are crowded in the house, and then Lucas's girlfriend moved in. So 4 of us are in this tiny little space. We're making it kind of work, and at this time, like, my work was a struggle because I worked for a landscaping company, and then in the winter I get laid off, and so I was struggling to find work, I normally have work lined up in the winter, but this winter that we first got together and found out we were pregnant, I was struggling to find work. And then the work I did find, I worked for a wet dog food place, and I came home, I stank every day. I literally had like animal parts on me.
You made me feel sick every time I picked you up from work.
Yeah, we were sharing my vehicle, so she would drop me off in the morning, and I hated, it's cold outside. Where I worked was cold. It was just a really not fun job. I didn't make very much money, and then they kept sending people home early, and then Christmas holidays it was like 4 or 5 days we had, and with a new baby on the way, not making much, living in a small little like 1,000 square foot place, 2 bedrooms with 4 people. Yeah. We were really it was really tight. And then so we decided to get married. Like, I proposed without a ring. I was so broke I couldn't afford a ring. And I'm telling everybody, I'm like, I wish I could afford a ring. I want to propose. I know it's quick, but I'm going to do it. And then so I just said, I don't have a ring, but I want to get married or whatever. And you said okay. And then and then
we went to work.
And then we went to work. Yeah. and then so my mom, I guess, had like a ring, like my birth ring. My dad got her a ring when I was born with a stone, and that was when I told her that we got engaged, but I didn't have a ring. She gave me that ring, then at work when I picked you up, that's when I got down on one knee in the carport. I was like, let's do this over because now I've got a ring. And I got down on one knee, and it would have been a shocker if she said no at that moment because she had said yes in the morning.
What would you have done? I was like, actually, I've changed my mind.
Oh.
No, thank you.
And then so we're getting married.
Well, no, because then we told my parents, and we weren't going to get married. We were going to get married, but just like sign the papers, have a witness, not do anything special.
Yeah, we didn't want to do the ceremony or nothing.
Yeah.
We were just going to do the paperwork. Yeah, because we didn't have any money. We were dirt poor, so.
And it was the middle of winter.
Yeah. And so we had Christmas. My birthday's in December, and then your birthday's just after winter time.
Yeah.
So and then families and get-togethers. Like, it was tough and tight, and then all the celebration and stuff. Like, Christmas is an expensive time, so. And then we wanted to put a good step into the wedding. We wanted it to be by a certain date for a certain reason, but I can't recall why. What?
I was pregnant for
Well,
one.
there was that. But
so at first we were like, we'll wait and have a party in the summer. The baby will be there. It'll be cool. She can be part of the wedding. But my mom convinced us to have a wedding. She's like, well, why don't you just have a wedding now? And we're like, well, all these reasons.
Yeah.
And then so eventually she's like, we can have it in my house. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be expensive. She started looking up all these prices for different things, like renting chairs and all that stuff. And then she's like, and like, we give all of you money for a wedding gift.
Yeah, they gifted us some money
Yeah.
for all their kids, and that went to help.
And so within a month, we had our whole wedding planned for under $2,500.
Yeah, that's what we did. And it was pretty awesome though. Like, I
thought
liked
it was amazing. It was like everyone was so surprised because it was like an actual full-blown wedding besides like a sit-down dinner. We just had appies, but there was enough appetizers that we could have had a sit-down meal because we were eating appies for weeks afterwards because we had so many leftovers.
Yeah, and I had a dance. Like, we cleared the dance floor. Like, Sam's dad built this beautiful home. So they have a beautiful home, and we can. After the ceremony, we cleared the chairs, and where the chairs and the ceremony was held became the dance floor,
which was their living room.
Yeah,
and then upstairs we had a photo booth that Dirk set up.
Yep, set up a photo booth,
which was amazing. Everyone thought like it was like professional photos because Dirk's a professional.
I was into photography, and I had all the gear and stuff set up. So I had it set up to you just hit the button, you run over, and with DSLR and shooting in RAW, so we can do all these edits and stuff. The photo and some lights.
They turned out amazing.
Yeah, the lights that we have going on now are a lot of the lights that we use for then, except for some of this. I have a very makeshift setup light here for what we got going on, because my budget for this podcast is $0.
Use what we got.
Yeah, so we just made shift this up, but a lot of these lights we use for that photo booth, and we use a lot of those photos for our wedding photos too. We had a friend do some photography, but we were pretty tight on our budget, so.
He did it for a wedding gift.
He did it for a wedding gift, and he did a good job. We were pretty happy with that, but we used a lot of the photo booth area, too, to do photos because it was cold outside. We weren't going anywhere.
It snowed.
It
which kind of sucked because everyone went home earlier than we were expecting because it started snowing on the Malahat, and almost everyone that came lived in Victoria, so they all had to go home.
Yeah, they had to go over the Malahat. The Malahat is a pretty dangerous road when it gets snowy, especially at nighttime, so we understand, and anyway, so we're married, and then a few months later we move in. We found our first apartment together, our first little actual space together.
Not a few months later. That was like February 1st. We got married on the 16th.
Yeah,
and we moved on the 1st.
So there you go. So that's how quick that was. And it was a great little space, and it started off at 900 square feet, and then later on the landlord expanded the space down to 1,200 square feet. So it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 900, and then it became a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200.
Yeah, with a living room.
Yeah, with a living room, because the kitchen and living room before were one room.
Yeah, it was very tiny, but it was perfect for what we needed then. But then once Freya started moving, then it was good to have that space because we could just close that door and she couldn't get out.
Into the kitchen.
And it was perfect.
So our daughter, for our first daughter, was, she was talking around 6 months. She was saying some words. She was walking pretty early. And
she was talking at 10 months.
At 10 months. So, well, no, didn't she say egg at 6 months, 7 months?
I think more 9-10 months.
9-10 months, somewhere around that mark. And at the same time, she was walking. So
yeah, at 9 months.
At 9 months, she was walking pretty good and moving around. And so, yeah, that all seems like it streamlined real fast. And, that house, so let's say how old was Freya when we found out that we were pregnant with Elias? It's hard to remember these things.
We found out we were pregnant with Elias at the end of September. So she was 14 months when we found out I was pregnant for Elias.
Elias, yeah. And then we got to stay in that basement suite until Elias was born. And I think he was like 7 weeks old when she sold the house.
No, he was younger than that.
Yeah, he was pretty young. Pretty quick after Elias was born.
Because we moved in August and he was born in June.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, around 7 weeks, we were told, she had sold the house and that we had to find a new place to live, and we did that when Elias was about. So we ended up having 2 months after that. So he was around 3 months old when we were fully in the move.
Yeah.
And the move went pretty smooth. It was just around the block, but the place we moved into, like the market here, was so tight and just increasing. We just took whatever we could. It
was a nightmare
at that time, and it ended up being a nightmare. There was, mold and mildew problems, and then when we
carpenter
ants, when we tried to bring it up, we weren't getting much help from the people we were renting off of the. What are they called? The rental. They're like real estate agents for rentals.
Yeah.
Rental managements or whatever. They were not. They were not really putting any effort into helping us, and we were contacting about their situation, sending them emails. They were saying we didn't send them emails. Finally, we just decided that we were going to leave early, break early lease because this was unhealthy for our kids.
Only a month early.
Yeah, we left a month early. But we decided that we were not going to renew and start looking for a place. Then we found this amazing place. We got it. We told them we were moving. They made that difficult for us as well. And, we ended up moving and paying for all this paint and updating the house. Like your dad came in and professionally painted for us, and he filled over 1,000 holes in the wall.
All in our monies.
All in our monies.
Time.
And then we said that there were all these problems with the house, and the homeowner and the rental management were saying there wasn't. And then right after we moved out, we found out that they had to renovate because of all these situations.
They had to completely strip the whole inside the house and redo it. Mm-hmm. And they were threatening to take us to court if we didn't, because we were telling them that we weren't going to pay the last month of rent, and they were threatening to take us to court over it.
Yeah, a special little court for just rental stuff. It was getting ridiculous. So whatever, we moved out of that area, and then right when we were moving into this place, we found out we were pregnant with Mavericks.
We moved in here first, and we were here for about a month, 2 months, and then we're like, we're gonna get a puppy, and so we got Duke.
Yes,
and
we
then
got Duke.
We found out I was pregnant.
Because we wouldn't have got Duke. Yeah, we wouldn't have got Duke if we thought. So we took on. I got an itch. I always get an itch when I'm doing this stuff. These mics, they make my ear itch a little bit. Anyway, so we ended up moving in, getting a dog, and then having a baby, and then just to add more, we built a huge garden out there, and
but you got chickens.
Oh, and I got chickens,
and then you got goats,
and then I got goats,
and then you got more goats.
Yeah, and now I think we're gonna stop. We might get another dog in a year or so. I don't know. It depends. Like, we've got a full plate now.
Yeah,
it's tough. What I really want to talk about, though, is childbirth, because I don't get to go through it, but I was in the room. All three of our kids' childbirths were different. They were crazy.
They sucked.
The last one that we just had, Maverick, was during the pandemic, and it was the weirdest out of all. Like, they make us wear masks up to the delivery room. We sit in the delivery room. The baby's born. We wait the 4 hours. They send us home. So, and then that pregnancy, there was no, the first pregnancy they gave us morphine, and then Freya streamlined out of there, and then so she came out a little bit on morphine. And then the second one, Sam got laughing gas, and then the third one, she got no help at all. So it was pretty tough. But what's your point of view on the kids? How are we doing for time here? We can tell one pregnancy story, so you go ahead and tell which one you want.
I don't know.
Okay, let's talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the first one, Freya. So Freya, we were walking in the estuary and you started getting contractions?
No.
Before that? What do I know?
So the day before? At some point, I started getting contractions. The night before. Before the night before. So one night, I was getting contractions. They were about 15 minutes apart, like clockwork. And then, so they went all night, kept me up all night long. And then, so you're like, why don't you have a bath? I heard if you have a bath, it tells you whether or not they're real contractions. So I went and had a bath, and same thing. They just kept going every 15 minutes. And then they stopped at 8 in the morning. So it was like, yay, I didn't sleep tonight. That's nice. And then we went to my mom's house. I don't know why, but I don't remember why. But we were there. We went to my mom's house. And then from my mom's house, my friend Simone came over, and then we went to the estuary for a walk, and that started the contractions again. And then, so they started every 15 minutes, all night long until 5 in the morning. And then I was like, I think my water broke. We're just walking around because we were trying to get the contractions to go faster because it was like,
we wanted this to happen.
Our second day without sleep, or second night without sleep. And so we phoned the midwives, and I don't know if they really believe, because your first pregnancy is supposed to be slow, and so they're like, oh, it probably didn't, because I was like, I was expecting this gush. There was no gush. And they're like, well, sometimes it'll partially break. So we had to do all these tests that they were getting us to do, and then so finally they deemed that yes, it did sound like it was broken. So I needed to get antibiotics. So we went to the hospital to get the antibiotics, but then they were going to send me home. So we went there. I got the antibiotics. My midwife left because she's like, you're going to be all day. So she went to Lake Cowichan. We were in Duncan. And then so we did one lap of the hospital maternity ward while I was getting my IV because I was just walking around with it. And then after that, I was like, I can't walk anymore. It's starting to hurt real bad. So we went back into our little waiting room to finish off my antibiotics. By the time they were done, I was like in super pain. Because last time the midwife checked, I was 2 centimeters dilated, and then she left. And then, so I started getting really, really bad pain, and then I started throwing up.
Yeah, and this is within 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, and so when you start throwing up is when you're normally that's when you're kind of in the final transitioning of your cervix opening and you're your dilation. I started throwing up, and so the one nurse was like, oh no, you're not going anywhere. And so they gave me morphine because they're still because they didn't know how dilated it was because my midwife wasn't there. So they're like, well, we're going to give you morphine because you need something for the pain. So they gave me morphine. I was all doped up. You guys were talking around me all concerned about where's the midwife? What's going on? What do we do? And I thought I was talking, and I was like, why are you guys all ignoring me?
Yeah, but you weren't saying nothing.
But apparently it was all in my head. I wasn't saying anything out loud.
No.
So the midwife finally shows up, checks my cervix. Freya was right there. She basically just looked and was like, oh, there's a baby. And so she made me stand up and walk into the delivery room.
Which was a battle. I had to sling you around my arm, and you were just taking these tiny little inch steps.
After the fact, she's like, I can't believe I made you walk.
Yeah, we could have just rolled you in there.
Yeah, so she made me walk, which probably made her come faster, though. So I don't regret it. I was so doped up that I was kind of just like, whoa, where are we going? What's going on? So we get in there, and then she was born 6 minutes later. 6 pushes.
6 pushes, yeah.
6 pushes.
Came out not...
about 20 minutes later, I guess, actually. 6 pushes, 20 minutes later, and she was born. But she was also, unfortunately, drugged up on morphine because you're only supposed to take morphine if you're not going to have your baby for like 4 hours later.
Time, yeah. So she didn't come out. She didn't cry or nothing. She just kind of was like...
She just was looking around.
Yeah, breastfed right away. Yeah. Waiting, everything was fine. She didn't cry the whole... She didn't cry till... hours later.
I don't even think she cried till the next day.
Well, when they bathed her, she cried.
Oh, yeah. When they
showed us
bathed
how to bathe her.
The nurse was very rough.
She was pretty rough. I was like, is that how you do it?
But that was really late, too, though. That was like late at night. That was like 9 o'clock or something.
Here's what they don't tell you. Like, I didn't know this, but babies have like this black molasses poop when they first come out. And I mean, like, it sticks like molasses. It doesn't have like an odor or nothing like that, but it is the stickiest, darkest molasses poop. Apparently it's like 100% protein, but man, it is like, you're like, geez, is that normal? What is that? Like,
and
the
demon baby are like, poops. Oh yeah, that's normal. And my mom's like, yep, go Freya, good for you. And we're like, oh, like, what do I do? It's not coming off. Like,
it's so funny from your first kid to your last kid, like, with Maverick, we're just like, yeah, get in there and do whatever, and we're like on top of it, and it everything's a little more streamlined and maybe a little bit more rough around the edges because you just know a little better. Where with like your first kid, you're like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna gently wipe you clean.
Yeah,
is this soft
or like,
enough? Or
like with Maverick, we're like, get those clothes on. With Freya, it's like, I'm not gonna put these clothes on because I feel like she might break if I pull them over her head. So she's only gonna wear sleepers until she's older because I'm scared of squishing her brain.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, so that's our one child. The one thing you did mention is when I had to go into the bathroom with you. It was so funny.
Oh, yeah, that was like right after the morphine just started setting in and I had to pee. So
I had to carry you in there. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I'm not going to look. I won't look.
And I was like, don't pee.
I'm facing the door. She's behind me going pee. And, you can hear her go pee, and she goes, don't pee. No peeking. That's what she said. Oh, hi, I'm morphine. And then after that, she went and had a baby. Okay, that about wraps us up for time here today, guys. So thanks for checking in on the podcast. I'm glad Sam came in with one of our new stools. So it's going to help us hopefully just get ourselves in frame a little better. And then... also, check out, what was it called again? Finish Color? Do you remember? You got your phone? For the...
Finish Coat, I think.
Finish Coat? We'll check. We'll just want to make sure we got the name right.
Yeah. Finish Coat.
Yeah, so check out Finish Coat. I'm going to put the link in the description. And, they're a local... Cowichan Valley business, I think from Victoria to Nanaimo or even further. They're on Vancouver Island. You can check out their webpage if you've got scratches and need some paint work done on your car. These guys are professional. They're good. They do lots of the car dealerships. They are very serious and very well knowledged in what they're doing. So check them out and show them their appreciation and support a local business. And if you also wish to provide a shout-out, you can email me at thedirksdiarypodcast@gmail.com. I'll put that down in the descriptions as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Toodles.